You're listening to Fox on the Wire podcast. All right, everybody, welcome to a very special episode of Fox on the Wire, episode 83, slowly crawling towards that sweet number 100, and we're just about to crack the 4th anniversary of the podcast. So I just remembered that today. Time is just absolutely flying. So yeah, we're almost there. So I want to welcome a very special guest today, all the way from Germany. We're battling sort of a 9-hour time difference, but I think we've done pretty well here. So I want to welcome Jörg, aka Riff Madness, to Fox on the Wire. Welcome, sir.
Welcome. Well, hi. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
So I've been following you on Instagram for a little while now. I think I came across your playing videos of Metallica, and you do a lot of Rammstein and just a lot of heavy stuff. And yeah, it's great. So I saw somewhere along the line there we had, I think, a mutual interest in Metallica's Load album. I think there's just I think you post quite a few songs off the Load and Reload album, which some Metallica fans have put way back in their Metallica collection. But I myself, Load, I think, was my first Metallica album growing up. It was just when it was released, that's when I was getting into music with my best friend, and he came home one day with the CD of Load and the tab book, and off we went. So Load has a very special place in my heart. And then obviously, went back to all the earlier Metallica stuff. So so you're based, or you live in Germany. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name's Jörg. I'm almost 41. I play guitar for over 20 years now, and I still suck at it, but that's just the way it goes. Well, I love music. I love playing guitar, which is why I started these videos on Instagram years ago, and still enjoy it, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. And I love to have conversations with people on Instagram, off Instagram, like this one, for example. So thank you very much for this. Appreciate it very much. Thank you. And I don't know if there's something people want to know about me, ask me, write me, whatever. I'm glad with everyone to talk about something.
I think one of the best things about music is that we can all bond around it. Obviously we're a long way apart from each other in the world, and that's why I wanted to reach out to you. Mutual Metallica fan and fan of heavy music and guitars, and I was really, really happy when you sort of agreed to come on. And I've got pages of notes of things we can talk about. So
sure, hit me up.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about your guitars. You take a lot of pride in your guitars. Anyone who follows you on Instagram and I think your YouTube channel as well, we can sort of see that you take pride in your guitars, and rightfully so, which is something I definitely appreciate. So why don't you show us a couple of your babies that are sitting to your left? What have you got there? You got a couple of ESPs, and your is it the Epiphone, the Midnight Black one? Is that what it's called?
Yes. It's a Epiphone Les Paul custom. The model is called Midnight because of the color. And it came stock with 2 EMGs 81. And over the years, I switched in and out these pickups. I went then for years to 8160 because of James, because this is the sound I wanted to do and wanted to have. And I had for quite some time the James Hetfield set in it. And now they are the 5766, and which are so good in this guitar. This guitar is really bright sounding, and the Alnico magnets in the 5766 reduce the brightness a bit, but sound so good. Okay, show you.
Give us a look. Ooh, what a beauty!
There it is.
Yeah, is that
And
like
it's
is
a
that a
brush chrome.
Ah, okay, yep, very nice.
So yeah, and I also have the 5766 TW set, which I'm going to replace with this one for more sound options. And the TW set have a singer called Beneath the Humbuckers, so it's not split. So it's the humbucker is deactivated and the signal call is activated. So the housing of the humbuckers it goes deeper into the body. And with a push-pull option, you can activate or deactivate the signal call beneath the humbucker. So for more sound options, for clean sound, for stretchy sounds, maybe. Really looking forward to this one.
And what have you got that tuned to? Can you keep guitars in different tunings?
Yes. The Epiphone and the ESP Snakebite are in E standard. The baritone is in Truck B or in C sharp standard, mainly. I do downtune to whatever, like the cover I did with the Korn Here to Stay, which is an A standard, or go low to what was it? The Unknown Feeling on Saint Anger. I think what was it? Drop A sharp, maybe. I don't know.
Right.
Or G sharp. I don't remember. I have to look it up. The Black Explorer is in D standard, and the Truckster and the White MX are in E flat.
Yep. This is why we need to have more than one guitar, isn't it? You know, all the different tunings, the different bands that we play.
I also the Truckster is my backup guitar in case something happens with the White Explorer when we play live. So if I have a major tuning issue or even worse, a string break, I can switch it to the Truckster.
Yep.
And we play Sad True in D standard. Of course, you have to. And this is the only guitar I have with me to play this song. So I mainly use the White Explorer live.
And what are you playing live? Like, are you playing in an original band, or what are you doing there?
No, I used to play in two different bands, original music, and right now, and I have for a couple of years now, I'm part of the Metallica cover tribute band from Germany in Frankfurt, which is called Metallica. And I use these three guitars live.
Excellent. Are you playing rhythm most of the time, or?
Normally I have the Kirk job.
Ah, cool.
But I play rhythm and solos, and so does my bandmate. So when we talk about what song we want to do, we focus on mainly to play the song from front to back, and then decide who will play the solo. So we play both. So I am Kirk and James, and he is Kirk and James. But my main role is to present Kirk on stage.
Okay.
Yep. But I don't play any Kirk guitar. I don't like the necks of his guitars. They're too thin for me.
Yeah, the snakebite seems to fit your like much like James. You know, just it looks like it's part of your body, I guess. And much like Dimebag with his guitars, you know, they just look like an extension of his body. What are the snake bites like to play lead on? Because obviously we see James mainly playing rhythm. Are they sort of good for lead as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I had the chance to play the LTD version and the ESP version, and both were in white. And the necks were at the time completely different. Even though they are described as thin U necks, the ESP neck is a little bit wider and thicker. Better woods. So the ESP version sounded fuller and had more sustain. And that's the reason why I bought the ESP over the LTD. I'm not saying the LTD version is bad. Absolutely not. It's a great guitar. The ESP was just better. And around the time, it wasn't the custom shop version. It was right before they changed production from these signature series to the custom shop. So I didn't even pay this amount of price they want to have today.
Oh, right. Oh, good. So what amps are you using live and at home, I guess?
At home I'm like 99% I'm digital. Live is completely analog by now. And I used a Diesel VH4, which I have since 2010. Okay. It's my main amp. I also have a Roland JC40, which I also used live. Went crazy route. I wanted to have the Roland just for cleans and the Diesel just for rhythm and lead tones. So carrying around 2 amps, you're doing all by yourself. I still would do it, but it's just too much to carry around. So for the last years, I'm just using this one amp, this Diesel VH4, from clean to heavy to lead. It does everything I want, everything I need, and it does everything I wanted in and outside of Metallica sound. I can do it all with this amp. And I use a couple pedals live. Not so much. Mainly it is for ambience, for clean sounds. A chorus pedal, the MXR Black Label chorus. 2 different delays, to TC Agronic flashback, one for cleans, one for leads, and for clean also the TC Electronic Hall of Fame reverb. Here and there, by KHDK, some overdrive pedals for sustain or a different crunch tone for different rhythm sound, a bit more tighter sounding, like a Puppets era, maybe.
Yeah.
Which is the KHDK Paranormal, the Gary Hall signature pedal.
Oh, yeah.
If you ever get a hand on this one, do it. It's awesome sounding. A Diesel 2x12 rear-loaded cabinet, oversized, with 2 vintage 30s. And everything is controlled with the Voodoo Lab ground control and GCX audio switcher. So it's all MIDI functions. A wah pedal is the Dunlop Dimebag Crybaby from Hell.
Oh, yeah.
Which I also have for years. It's still the old one in the green camel.
Ah, yeah. I've got the newer one, I think.
The black camel?
Yeah, I only got it last year, so it must be the new one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as a wireless unit, I'm using the discontinued version of Shure GLXD 14 or 16, I think, which has a built-in tuner and a mute function. So it's quite handy.
Yeah. Cool.
That's about it, I think. Dunlop picks, Richter strings, and straps. Yeah. That's it.
What gauge pick? I'm curious.
I'm trying out different picks now. I still have some of these black fangs.
Oh yeah.
I still have the white fangs, which I really love because of this different grip surface it has compared to the regular flow picks. So the grip surface is different. Really like it. But for a couple of weeks now, I went back to the original picks for the material I started with guitar, which is the green Tortex.
Oh yeah. What are they?
The
88s.
The point 88s, and
Yeah.
I used these. Do you see this?
Yeah.
It's the flow version of it and T3 version of it, and I'm doing this Scullion Dimebag trick, and I don't know if you can see it. They're scored.
Okay.
You see this?
It's a little bit blurry. Just pull it back a bit.
I don't know if you can see it. I use like a tool to scratch them.
Oh yeah.
So they don't slip around.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I used to use the green ones, the Tortex, the 88s. But I've moved up to the blue one, which I think is sort of around the 1 mil.
It's 1 millimeter, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a little bit more comfortable with them, I think. So
it's also, they're not so snappy sounding, different material. I mean, I love the white fangs. I love the flow, Alltex flow picks. I really do. But come on, when we go on stage and we play like 2.5 hours, I shred picks like nothing.
Especially with those sort of songs.
Exactly. And especially also with the amount of angle I attack the string and the way I play. I use of these 1.14 millimeters white fangs between 6 and 9 picks per shot.
Wow.
Yeah, I shred these like nothing.
Yeah. What sort
not as bad as James, but still.
Can you imagine how many he would go through? That's why he's tossing them out to the audience after every song, I guess. What sort of gauge strings do you use, like for a standard E on the snakebite, for example?
I don't. Oh, you mean on baritone? I don't change strings, especially just for this tuning. I just use the string gauges that are on it, and I just down tune. For this drop C sharp, drop B or standard C sharp, I used the same set, which is 11 to 52 or 54. Because of the longer scale, you don't need these thick strings.
Okay, yeah.
For E standard, I'm using like a regular 10 to 46, but I changed the 46 to 48.
Yeah, a little bit thicker.
Yeah. And the E flat is 11 to 50.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Like the James Hetfield set, but I use a set by Richter. And for the D standard, this is quite interesting. This is a custom set. I experimented with different gauges, and I came to the conclusion that this set works the best for me, which is 12 to 52. But I might change the 52 to a 54. So it's a 12, 15, 20, what is it? 32, 42, 52.
Yeah, the 54 is pretty thick, pretty heavy, but it's necessary, I think, on some guitars.
I also like to down tune it to drop C or drop D or drop C sharp, and this slightly a thicker string helps a lot with the attack and to keep a certain tension. So you don't have to change just this one string for a different tune.
Yeah, I'm sort of trying out a few different strings on the LTD Phoenix there behind me because it's quite a long. I've got the 54s on there at the moment, but I think I might try something a bit lighter. But I've got it tuned to the Pantera standard detuning, 425 hertz, I think it is. You know, so it's a bit of a different tuning, which is why I went for the thicker strings. But it's a bit floppy, so I don't know. I'm still working that one out, so I might try the 10 to 52s and see how that goes.
I think Dimebag used 9s on this one, but with the heavier strings on top.
Yep.
But it also comes down to how do you play? The thickness of your pick, and how heavy you pick, and where do you pick exactly? Is it more towards the bridge, so you have a different tension there, or is it more to the neck, which is more floppy? You know, depends.
Yeah, it does.
Depends on you. How. This is why every time I see a question somewhere, there's I like to play, I don't know, like filtered gauge, drop C. What string gauges do you recommend? How do you play? You cannot answer a question or answer a question if you don't know how this particular player plays.
True. Yeah. Some people pick a lot softer. Some people dig into the strings a lot harder, like James.
Right.
So it can depend. Yeah, it really does depend on a lot of things.
Also, what the string action. Some players prefer to have a lower action. Some are higher. Some are in between. All comes down to personal preference. So you cannot answer such a question. Not really.
Not really. I guess you can only sort of give some guidance, but it really comes down to the person trying it out for themselves and see what feels comfortable. And that's sort of what I'm still doing with a lot of these guitars, and, you know, finding the right gauge and the tuning, and, you know, because we're playing all different sort of stuff, like Metallica, you need standard tuning, Pantera, you need something different. My original stuff, I need something different. So it's all different. Which is cool. That's a good excuse to have more guitars, I guess. So
it's always an excuse to have more guitars.
Absolutely. So, do you remember how you got into Metallica? We're actually the same, or around the same age. So I'd be interested to see when and what album and how you got into Metallica, first of all.
Well, my musical journey started with don't laugh at me. I started with Bon Jovi, actually.
I love Bon Jovi.
Especially up to Keep the Faith.
Yeah.
And so no, I didn't start with the first album. I think I started listening to Bon Jovi because of Keep the Faith and what was showing on TV when MTV was still available and still good.
Yeah.
And then I went to Kiss and AC/DC, the Kiss Unmasked era with Piers Kulik on guitar. Oh man, Kiss Revenge album is still my favorite, and the Kiss Alive 3, and the Kiss Unplugged session. Man, I love this album. And then I went to AC/DC, you know, all around Ball Breaker around that time, you know, Hard as a Rock, the soundtrack for Last Action Hero movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yep.
Big Gun.
Great song. Cool video too.
Love it. And Hard as a Rock and all this, the Ball Breaker album. And then I went to like a shop. I wanted to buy actually another AC/DC record. So I pull up this black record by AC/DC, back black, and I saw this different black-looking album. I was like, "Oh, what's this? Never heard of this band before. Don't shame on me. I was just starting out." And it was the Black Album by Metallica. So I put it in there, put the headphones on. The first couple of notes I just sent me. So, ooh, nice. Next one, Separate True. Ooh, nice. So I bought this guitar that day over Back in Black. And yeah. And I think 2 years later, Load came out. So up till then, it was just Black Album. And then Load came out. And I understand the hate.
Yeah.
Or hate, I should say, that people have or still have on this Metallica era, when they say they used to be this. I get it, but they are artists.
Mm-hmm.
They want to do maybe something different, and what is wrong with that? If they keep doing the same over and over again, which they haven't up till then, beside making music they want to hear. And they said this from the early beginning. They want to do music they want to hear. They are honest. So what is wrong with that statement? Nothing, in my opinion. But I get it. It took me a couple of years, actually, to get the Load, feel the vibe. And because when I started with the Black Album, and after that, I went more extreme. I discovered Pantera. I discovered Slipknot. I discovered System of a Down. You know, when the new metal era came along with Limp Bizkit, Korn, Stained, you name it. And for quite some time, I was huge into Slipknot and Korn, and didn't really listen to Metallica at all, I think. Or I heard Creed, My Own Prison, Human Clay, that album.
Yeah.
So, and then sometime later, I came back to Metallica, and my best friend, for example, started with Reload. I get when people say, "Oh, this is not good." I get it. It's still good, but it's different from what they used to hear from them. It's just sad some people can't really accept the fact that some people like to do things differently they did before.
Yeah. Well, even for the Black Album, they copped a lot of shit, I think, because that was a big change. Obviously, it was still insanely popular, but they still copped a lot of shit from it. But between the Black Album and Load, that was like 5 years, I think. The Black Album was 91, Load was, I think, 96. There's a lot of touring in between there, but that's a big chunk of time. Grunge had sort of come and gone in that time, and it was mid to late 90s, and it was just a different time. And I think a big thing was that they cut their hair. I think that was a big thing as well.
I don't see this hair statement. Come on. Come on.
Yeah.
I don't have hair. I am bald.
Yeah.
But a lot of people also like to shame Bob Rock. What has Bob Rock something to do with it? He tried to guide them, yes, but what made he different than before? In my opinion, Metallica never sounded better or it's just my opinion, Bob Rock just knew how to make them sound good.
Yeah.
He just knew. I mean, besides Saint Anger, this is still a great album, but it was supposed to sound like that. They wanted it to sound like that. They wanted to sound like just a band. They just started and playing in a garage. This is complete obvious. And not a mistake at all. Maybe the snare.
I think so.
But Load, the Black Album, and Garage Inc. are probably the best produced albums Metallica ever had. Because of Bob Rock.
Well, in my opinion...
Matt Puppets is Fleming, sorry.
Yeah. I think if Metallica didn't do the Black Album, they could have been potentially the end of them, if they kept putting out albums like Puppets and Justice for All and kept on that road, maybe they wouldn't have survived that change in the musical landscape at that time or something.
Maybe.
I don't know. They took a gutsy turn, went for the Black Album, and hey, that was still really inspiring in terms of guitar playing and songwriting and everything. Like the tour, on that tour, they were on fire. They were just, you watch some of those clips, man, they were just pumping it out. And it wasn't the same as Puppets or, their earlier stuff, but it was still very guitar driven. And it probably saved their career, and that's why they've got that sort of longevity now, 40 years later. Maybe.
Who knows? I mean, like I said, it's okay if an artist wants to do something different. Yeah. That's completely fine. But is it so wrong? I mean, even bands like Slayer and AC/DC, I mean, to the core, they do the same music. Of course. But even in their career, there are certain records or certain songs that are not really what they did before. Even slight nuances could be different. So what is wrong with that? It's not bad music. It's just different.
Yeah.
Same with Linkin Park. I mean, listen to the first 2 albums, and then what happened after that? Or after the third record? What happened then? Oh, that's fine. It's just, if you're used to listen to a band that you love so much and they do something you don't expect, this is the reason why I don't like it. I don't know.
Well, I think they have to do it to survive sometimes and find their inspirational spark within themselves. And obviously Metallica had a lot more to give, in terms of vocal harmonies and the songwriting, and they slowed everything down a little bit, and they could do a little bit more. And so I got into Metallica during that era, the Black and the Reload era. Garage Inc. was a big one for me as well. I like Reload. I think Load is a bit stronger on its own as an album, but then Reload has some really, really good songs like Devil's Dance and Fuel, Bad Seed, which I've seen you play. What's that? Low Man's Lyric, Fixer. Yeah. And, a lot of Metallica fans will say Fixer is potentially their most underrated song in their whole catalogue.
I think out of these 2 records, I think there are 3 songs left for me to play or to cover. So Mama Said, it's Ronnie, and I think it's I did Low Man's Lyric, but just a short acoustic cover. Let me check.
That's a really cool song. That I really like what Hetfield brought to that, and could sort of see him doing some sort of acoustic-y country album in that sort of sense, like Mama Said as well. I don't think he'll ever do it, but that would be cool to see.
I did Complete Reload. It's just these two songs from Load. Ronnie, which I'm excited about to do.
Yeah.
And Mama Said.
Mm-hmm. Both. Well, Mama Said I like. Ronnie is probably not one of the best on that album for me, but still part of the album. But another thing with that era was the live thing, the live video that they put out, Cunning Stunts. Did you ever?
Oh yeah,
watch? Yeah, that was awesome. And the was it the Kill Ride medley that they did? Some Kill 'Em All and some Ride. That was sick. That we just watched that back to front, over and over growing up, and
countless times.
Yep.
Countless times.
So I guess we're here today to talk about the new album, 72 Seasons. So did you get to the global premiere the night before it was released? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we actually won tickets. So I pre-ordered the album, and that put us in the draw to win a merch pack and 2 tickets to this global premiere. And we actually won. So
that's really cool.
Yeah. So it was good to hear the album before most of the rest of the world, and got a few T-shirts and a couple of albums and the CD. So yeah, that was really cool. And that same day that I found out that I won, I'd made contact with you and lined you up to come on. So it was a great day. It was awesome.
Awesome.
So yeah, what was obviously we got a taste of a couple of singles before the album was released, but on that night of the global premiere, were there any songs upon first listen that sort of stood out to you as being a favorite?
Not a whole song, except for Inamorata. Maybe it was just a first expression. I mean, for the people who didn't went to the cinema for this global premiere, I like to listen to an album completely by my own, maybe headphones on, and just listen to the music. So this is a different scenario. I did it last year with Rammstein, the album Zeit. They did the same thing. So beside the already existing official music videos, like Lux Eterna and the other 3 songs, we could see some official music videos they put out after that, and some of them were visualizers. So sometimes you were distracted of the music because of this video or the visualizers. And at some point, I was sitting there in the seat, closing my eyes and just trying to listen to the music. Of course, there were certain riffs that stood out from the beginning, like Shadows Follow. And some moments where I think, ooh, this is nice. I need to listen to this closer when the album is published out. But Inamorata was from the first moment to the last moment. It was really exciting. I really love this one. And other moments came the day after when I listened to it, or at that weekend when I listened to it a couple of times more. But yeah, Shadows Follow, where from the first beginning is a song that kept me. Inamorata definitely. And Inamorata doesn't feel like 11 minutes. Not at all.
No, it doesn't.
Certain songs would work a little better if they weren't that long, like 72 Seasons. I think, not against Kurt. They decided to put it out this way. I think if you would cut out the first solo before the second verse of 72 Seasons, you have the chorus, and then this instrumental part, then comes the first solo, and then comes the beginning with the harmonics, da 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 da, and it goes straight into the second verse. I think that if you cut out this first solo, I think the song would flow more. Yes, it would flow more and would keep me more excited. It's not a bad song. I'm not saying this. I just think it would flow more. And this feeling I have a couple of times on the record, actually.
Yeah. Yep. I think, yeah, just touching on 72 Seasons, obviously sort of starts out with that Motorhead sounding bass at the start.
Yeah.
But I think it's, I think they've ordered the track listing pretty well. And I think that was probably the perfect opening for the album. And it's actually like almost a minute 40 into that song before James even starts singing, which is what I always liked about, lots of music at the start there, which is cool, and it just builds up. And, that's why I liked, For Whom the Bell Tolls and songs like that just had these massive intros that just, bounce from riff to riff. And so, yeah, that's why I like that song. You're probably right about the solo and sort of various riffs here and there throughout the album. Maybe they could have been cut. Maybe they didn't need to be there. But they're there. So I think for me during that global premiere, the song that stood out for me was Crown of Barbed Wire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just had a bit of a different vibe about it to the other songs. Some of the other songs on first listen sort of not sounded like each other, but nothing really stood out. But that one, there was something different about that one. And I was going to ask you, because you've sort of spent the week learning a lot of these songs. The riff of that, is that sort of like a double stop, but in standard tuning? It's got that sort of not disjointed sound, but it's not a straight up power chord. It's like, like almost like you're in drop D, but you're not. Is that how they've sort of played that main riff?
No, it's just the extended power chord with I don't. I'm really bad at theory. Is
me
it
too.
a lower fifth?
Me too. No good.
Ground of barbed wire.
Yeah. Just doesn't sound like
just before I continue about the song, I think my buddy, I don't know his real Giovanni, military metal on Instagram. He described it, I think, really good. If load and reload meet right the lightning. I think it's partially fitting, actually. Throughout this whole album, I think I hear elements from almost every album.
Yeah.
Some solo parts remind me a lot of the early beginnings in Kill 'Em All.
Yep.
These fast, bluesy pentatonic runs.
Yeah.
Some of them remind me a lot of Kill 'Em All. Some riffs. There's one part where I think it could not replace, but it reminds me of the end of the line on Death Magnetic, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And some I think, this could be like Dream No More of Hardware to Self-Destruct, from the speed to the not the note selection, but because of the way the song vibes. Reminds me then to Dream No More or Sad But True, these things that should be this type of song.
Yeah, I think
like you talked about.
Definitely some of the mid-tempo songs give me a load sort of vibe.
Wait, let me check in the meantime. Oh. Yeah, it's just the regular power chord right here. Yeah. But you add the lower note on the E string.
Yeah, so like a double stop sort of. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought it sounds like. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, I really like that song. Something about
Yeah,
it
I like that flow. A lot of moments remind me a lot of Black Sabbath. You can really hear the influence of Black Sabbath on this record.
Yeah.
To Rob and James especially.
Yeah, and I think,
or the Motorhead section, like mentioned before.
Yeah, and I think they mentioned that, like in the interview parts between all the songs, you know, they mentioned certain vibes, whether it was like a Thin Lizzy sort of vibe with some of the harmony dual guitar stuff, which is really cool on a couple of the songs. I reckon that's really, really awesome.
Absolutely.
So now I thought, how are we going to tackle this? We could just have a general chat about the album, which we're kind of doing, or we could sort of take it track by track and do it that way. What do you think? Just sort
You're
of
the host. You decide.
Yeah. All right.
It's
well, here it is there for anyone who maybe doesn't have it yet. 72 seasons. So this is Metallica's 11th studio album, released on April 14th. Produced.
Thank you for saying this. It's the 11th studio album. Thank you. Garage Inc. is not a Metallica studio album. Just because they recorded in the studio, it's not a Metallica album.
That's right.
Or S&M1, S&M2.
Yep. Which I'm a big fan of, by the way. Those two albums, really, really cool.
Sure.
That's another thing
albums.
That's another thing they copped shit for, was the S&M thing, wasn't it? Especially the first one with the orchestra.
Yeah, obviously, but you can really hear that there was something done afterwards. I didn't say that out loud.
So this was produced by Greg Fidelman, who also produced Hardwired to Self-Destruct, and he has been a frequent collaborator of producer Rick Rubin. Greg Fidelman has worked with bands like Slayer, Black Sabbath, Chili Peppers, Bush, Audioslave, Manson, Slipknot, System of a Down, blah, 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 blah. Quite a list of impressive acts there. So obviously we got a taste of this album, with the first 3 singles. Now, I thought it was really cool how they just dropped Luxa Turner out of space, literally. There was no leaking. There was no hints of new music. It just dropped, and it was a big surprise. So how they kept that under wraps, I don't know. But the whole Metallica crew, everyone, it was just an amazing effort, especially for someone of that caliber. So, I thought that was really cool.
Also, especially in this day of age, that not one person dropped a word. I mean, we are 20 years ago, 22 years ago, this Napster thing. And you didn't hear any word of a Metallica song, album, maybe a tour, not a note, nothing. That's pretty remarkable, to be honest.
Very, yeah. Not even a sniff.
Nothing.
Nothing. So, yeah, big credit to them for keeping that under wraps. It was a nice surprise. So when was that? That was like November, late November, I think. And then a couple of other singles sort of trickled out over the next few months, one in January and one in March, just not long ago. So now personally for me, having listened to the album all week, I think the highlight for me, or my favourite part of the album in general, is James's voice, his vocals. For the age that he is, for the intensity and the grit still in his voice. And he's always been an amazing vocalist. I don't know if he really gets the props that he deserves for that, you know. 'Cause people often concentrate on his right picking hand and how good that is, and you know, James is just a all-round top-notch musician, to say the least. And I think vocally, on this album, he's just all over it. So that's probably my general favorite thing about the album. I'm not sure if Kirk really shines through on this album, maybe in some points. That's just my opinion.
Agree on this one.
I don't know if that's his fault or, you know, what he had to work.
I have no theory about this.
I feel like he has borders around him that he's only allowed to work within. That's just my little opinion. It's nothing against Kirk or the band, but I just don't think he really jumps out the way he potentially should in this album. You sort of agree?
Yeah, I agree with James' voice. You can really hear how he spit these lyrics out. I think you can hear the emotions he personally went through after their last tour, with him going into rehab, all the emotions. I don't know how he is influenced still by the fact that he got or he is divorced now. How is the relationship with his kids? But it's all personal life. It doesn't have to concern me. It's not my life. It's his life. I don't care if he has a new girlfriend or whatever. It's his life. But these life experiences, and along with this worldwide shutdown, like with the corona, I don't know. Maybe you can hear his frustration at some point, his feelings, the way he spits out some lyrics, the grit in his voice, like you mentioned. I totally agree with this one, and I agree with Kirk. I mean, there I don't know, so many people bashing him. He's doing the same thing over and over again. He's not a good guitar player. First of all, I agree with Scott Ian when he says an underappreciated or underrated rhythm player is Kirk Hammett. I mean, try to keep up with James's right hand. After playing 40 years together, or almost 40 years together, and he is doing like almost the same thing down picking wise like James.
Yep.
So does it mean he's a bad guitar player? No.
Hell no.
I mean, he has a certain style, of course. He used to play his solos differently than he did today, but then he is doing it today. It's also, like I said before, it's okay when an artist tries new things. But I think even when he says he wants to serve the song, then he should deserve the song better than he did, which is my opinion. Some parts of the solos were song fitting, and some were like, maybe he should have been guided a little bit more in a different direction to serve the song more. And it's not a critique on his playing; it's a critique on the person who guided him, or maybe on himself, that he thinks would be the best way to serve the song, which I partially disagree. I think some of the songs could have been even better if the solo could have been better served. Like, I don't know. Yes, you can hate this era, but listen to some solos of Load. The solo in Bleeding Me fits perfect for the song.
I was just thinking that, Bleeding Me.
You know, the solo in Awful Torn. Amazing. It fits the song perfectly.
King Nothing.
You can name King Nothing. You can also name The Unforgiven. You could name the bluesy sections on the Black album, Sad But True. Also Struggle Within.
Yep.
These are solos that fit perfect the song. So who was the guy who guided him to do it this way? Bob Rock. Sorry to mention it, it's Bob Rock. If you watch the making of Death Magnetic and Hardwired, who was the guy that guided him to play a certain part this way? It's Lars. So maybe Lars wanted to hear Kirk play something like this to fit the song. I'm not saying it's completely Lars's fault. Not at all. It's just, if you watch the making ofs, who was there when Kirk recorded his solos? It's Kirk, Lars, and Greg. Of what we have seen. So, who was probably the guy that guided him? Lars.
Yeah.
Lars is perfect when it comes to, and this is his really strength, is to put pieces together, the song structure. And you have seen it thousands of times, and you could hear it on the demos and how they came on afterwards. Lars's real strength is the song structure. And you could have also seen it in the making of Death Magnetic and Hardwired, when you come along with small pieces where you say, hey, maybe try it this way. And you hear it in the song, and you say, oh yeah, that really worked.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the making of the Black album. Yeah. The making of the Black album, you know, you watch that and you hear the solo that he came out with for The Unforgiven. And it was Bob Rock, wasn't it, that pushed him to go back, try again, and what a solo. So it's not that Kirk can't play, not at all, and I don't think people should be bashing him. I just feel like he's been put in a little box and not quite maybe being allowed to play to his potential, or maybe take some of the solos where we know he could take things. I mean, he's done some insane solos over the years, you know. And, you know, the Load solos, they weren't insane solos, but they were really tasteful. And they really fit the song, but there was a lot of character to them, and I just don't think that's the case on this album. And I don't know if that's him to blame, but I definitely wouldn't be bashing him. I don't think it's fair to bash him at all.
I think, like I said, Bob Rock would have guided him to do things a bit different.
Yeah.
To serve the song more.
Yep. So the album kicks off with 72 Seasons, as we've sort of touched on already. Definitely a good intro to the album, in my opinion. Got the Motorhead sort of sounding bass at the start. And it's just a good moving song. Could have been a little bit shorter, maybe, as you said.
Maybe.
But yeah, I guess we could probably say that about a lot of Metallica songs.
But again, it's just a personal opinion, and it's not to bash their songs. No. And let's be honest, this is whining on a really high point. You know what I mean? It's their music, and they have to be happy about it. But we can have different opinions. That's all. And as long as we can talk about it on a respectful level, which I don't see sometimes in certain forums or on different fan pages. Oh, you don't like that song? You know, which is really childish behavior. But again, it's their music, and they have to be happy about it. And who knows? Maybe they do it a bit different when they play these songs live.
Yeah.
Who knows? We will see. I will see it next month.
Oof, nice. Lucky you. I don't think Australia's on the map yet, and we just missed out a few years ago because James. I think we were listed as they were meant to come down, and then James had to go into rehab. So, but I'm sure we'll see them, in the next couple of years. So I'll definitely be there. But for me, no, this isn't my favorite Metallica album, but I'm just glad Metallica are still making music and they're still touring. I'm just grateful for that. So, we're going to look at anything they put out, pretty closely because we love this band. And when Metallica release an album, it's a big deal. And,
it is.
We're going to be critical, but it doesn't have to be negative sort of critical, Still going to do it with respect. And I'm just glad, like I said, they're still putting out music. So, but yeah, this album's been a lot to try and ingest in a week, because we sort of gave ourselves a week of listening to the album before we jumped on tonight. And in hindsight, it probably wasn't enough because there's a lot to take in with this album. But I also wanted to get this episode out, close to the release of the album. Yeah. So track number 2 is Shadows Follow, which has actually become one of my favorites on the album.
It's really strong.
Yeah. I think
I like the drive behind it from Lars playing, the way he plays the drums on this one, the beat. Da, 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 da. There's a strive to it, which I really love, which reminds me, it's a bit faster than, like, say, A Wolf and Man, but it has a strive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, like you have with almost a lot of Rammstein songs, for example. There's this, the drums are like a march. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it has a strive which keeps you constantly head nodding. Yeah, that's great. And then it comes the guitar to it, and on top of these vocals, the way James did it, just a great song. It's just a great song.
Would you say it's like kind of like Struggle Within? Kind of got that marchy Struggle Within.
A bit slower, but yeah.
Well, Hetfield during that premiere thing, I think he said, think Ramones. It's very stabby and lots of down picking, which is cool. And I think he said it was sort of about your dark side, sort of following you around, wherever you are on the planet and stuff like that. Yeah, again, I think there's a couple of songs, but like this, but in the middle there, it sort of slows down, I think, to almost like a half speed or a half time sort of tempo, which is really cool. A nice change in the song. Yeah, it's sort of really grown on me, this song. Actually, I didn't pick it in the first few listens, but in the last couple of days, it's really
right. When I heard it in the cinema.
Yeah,
exactly then. This drive, I love this drive of it, and I really hope they play the song live too.
Yeah,
I want to stand there.
It'll be interesting.
Constantly, yes.
It will be interesting to see which ones do make it into the live sets. Maybe that's why they're doing. I don't know if they're going to do this in Germany, but are they doing 2 nights, 2 totally different sets? Yeah,
okay. And also 2 different support acts.
Who?
I will see them end of May in Hamburg with Architects, Mammoth, and was it Iceman Kills? And 5 Feet Death Punch, definitely. I think it was Iceman Kills. I have to check it real quick. Let's keep talking.
That's pretty cool. I'd really love to see Mammoth, actually. I quite enjoy following Wolfgang. He's become quite an interesting person to follow and really get into his music. And I saw him at the Taylor Hawkins tribute thing. I thought he did a great job playing those Van Halen songs. He's probably got it in his blood, obviously, but it still take a lot of work to get those songs up to the standard on guitar that he had them. I thought that was really cool. So, that'd be a good one to see. They've had some big support slots, actually, Mammoth, haven't they? Like, they've supported Guns as well, Guns N' Roses.
Oh, I'm going to see them as well in Frankfurt.
Yeah.
Yes, it's Iceland Kills. Friday it's Architects in Mammoth, and then on Sunday 5 Death Punch in Arsenal Kills. And 5 Death Punch was also the support act last year of their tour. I saw Metallica in Prague, and they were there as well, along with Steel Panther and 2 other bands. I think a band from Ukraine and the second support act. What's the name of them? It was really cool. The son of Slash is playing guitar in that band. So,
the drummer?
No. He, I think Slash's son was playing guitar as well. What is a band called? Scape Productions. I think it's Scape Productions. I have to check that.
I know his son London plays drums in a band. I'm not sure what the band's name is. I can't remember. And his other son, what's his name? Cash. London's actually.
I'm gonna check it. Let's keep talking.
He's a really good drummer. Yeah, he's got
maybe it's a drummer. I thought I was reading that his son is playing guitar as well. Maybe he does. Who knows?
So track 3, which was the second single, I think, Screaming Suicide. Yeah, what do you think of that one?
It's a banger for sure.
Yeah.
I really like this theme. It has this like a Through the Never vibe.
Yeah.
You know, this little section.
Yeah.
But also it has this drive, which I really love in these Metallica songs, and it's really fun to play.
Yeah,
I don't have any critique, so to speak, on these songs, and it's just here and there some production issues, and well, not issues. I think the production is here and there not as good as they could be. And it's just serving Kirk's solo for the song.
So how's
that's a great song?
Yeah, it is a good song. Is the riff, because it kind of reminded me Kill 'Em All sort of era, maybe? Like, has it got the sort of, is the main riff sort of, double stops on the D and the G string, sort of like, or is it sort of off the top of your head, like some of the ones on Kill 'Em All? Or is it sort of on the A and the D string, sort of double stops sort of thing?
You mean this?
That's my theory. Yeah.
Wait. I have to check that. I mean, you could do it as a band.
So what strings are you on there? The D and the G?
It's A and D.
A and the D, okay.
Yeah. And then either a slide. I think they play with a band.
Yeah.
Which is then not difficult, but a bit tricky, because when you bend 2 strings with 2 different fingers, especially the D and G, they have a different feel to it. So you want to have the bend exact the same, like octaves.
Yeah.
So it's a bit tricky to get the bend right.
Okay. Well, Kirk said had like a new wave of new wave of British heavy metal sort of type of vibe to it during that premiere we went to, and also both Kirk and Rob complimented James's vocal melody as well.
Mm.
Yeah. Actually, the bit I like in that song also is, I think it's towards the end where James does sort of like the speaking words voice, because he's got such a cool voice, James. His speaking voice is really cool, and he sort of does a bit of a speaking verse in there, I think, which is really cool. But yeah, good song, nice and fast and driving, as you said. What do we got? Number 4, Sleepwalk My Life Away. Who kicks? I think that's Rob and Lars that kick that song off. Bit of a mid-tempo song. Maybe could have been on the Load or Reload album. Maybe.
Yes, there are a lot of parts actually which could be related to Load, Reload, Death. I think that their theme, so to speak, is really strong with the Death Magnetic and Hardwired, especially Hardwired. You could say that some things feels like a B-side of Hardwired, like a lot of people say Reload is just a B-side of Load. And yes, they were almost written at the same time. But then, like I said before, a lot of these songs remind me of different eras of Metallica. So the funny thing is, a friend of mine on Instagram, Nemeth, he pointed something out on the making of Hardwired, and I think it is the video of the song Hardwired, where Lars walks from his drum set to the camera, and there's just a tiny little snippet, not even a second, or maybe a second. You can hear James play the intro of Lux Eterna. So maybe these these riffs live for a couple of years now, but they hadn't had the chance to put them into different songs. So who really knows how old these riffs really are?
Well,
tiny hint. Yeah.
Well, James
Saint Electric is, by the way, the band is called Saint Electric.
Okay, haven't heard of them. Cool.
They're pretty cool. Much more hard rocky.
Where are they from?
Yeah, USA. And I think this is the band where Slash's son is playing an instrument, either drums or guitar. I think it's guitar.
Okay. There was a lyric. I think it was one of the later songs. I think If Darkness Had a Son, Here I Am. James was saying, he'd had that lyric in his phone for quite a while and just hadn't found a song for it. So, I'm sure they got, riffs lying around everywhere from, years gone by that haven't been used. And I've got plenty of riffs, let alone James and Kirk. I'm sure they got tons. Didn't Kirk lose his phone a few years ago, which had tons of riffs on it? Yeah.
Yeah, that was for Hardwired.
Oh, man. I always think of that. Yeah, it really does. Oh, I'd be devastated.
Oh, did you see the last video they did? I think they achieved some sort of award, and Rob gives James this black luggage, I should say. What James is asking, what is it? And Kirk says, it's my phone. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Oh, man.
My phone.
Oh, you'd be devastated. Absolutely devastated. Track 5, You Must Burn. So,
I like that one.
yeah, that's really grown on me too, that one, actually. Heavy
Ah,
riff.
a lot
Yep.
of people bash Avenged Sevenfold for playing Sad But True.
Right.
You Must Burn is actually like Sad But True.
Uh,
Dad.
oh, yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Didn't think of that. Yeah, it's got that mid-tempo sort of thing, but really heavy sort of
Oh, yeah,
riff.
yeah. You
Uh,
must burn. It's
yeah.
really cool.
I really like that. I thought it was just Kirk playing it, but I realized I think they're both playing it together. That riff in the song, ding 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 ding
Mm,
ding 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 or something
I
like
did that
that.
song yesterday. Yes,
Are they both playing that? I think they are.
yes. Kirk is doing the high octave, I think.
Right. Yeah. And then it's
You
got
also
the
could see it in the video.
okay. Got the wah in it after the solo. They sort of add some wah to it, but yeah,
Of
that.
course.
I really like that little. It's really effective. And I think Hetfield does some spoken words again in that, like with some sort of eerie guitars in the middle there.
Could
And it's
be.
actually probably one of Kirk's best solos on the album, I think.
Could be.
Yeah.
I need. I mean, like I said before, there are a lot of people on different places talking about this album, and I cannot say after a week
Mm.
because this also might change from for all the songs almost on a daily or weekly basis. What song I really love now this could be different tomorrow or next week.
Yep.
So even after listening to this album for almost a week straight, yes, of course, certain songs are up there, like Inamora
Mm.
and Shadows Follow. But the rest of the songs, they change over
Yeah.
time. For me, this is also a mood decision at the moment. So, and I cannot understand why people want to rank the album after a week in their complete list of albums. Oh, Satisfaction Season is, I don't know, eighth position out of 11. And they're bashing them is why?
Mm.
I mean, a lot of these people didn't realize how good load and reload are compared to the other stuff. Or a lot of people after 20 years have a different opinion on Saint Anger
Mm.
now because they went through a different life experience through these 20 years.
Yeah.
And so they have a different connection to this record. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
Yeah.
even after a week of listening to this new album straight, I still have my moments where I think, ooh, I like that one now.
Mm.
Than listening to it yesterday or the day before yesterday. So it's
Yeah.
really different.
Yeah. Like I said, a week actually wasn't enough to ingest this album properly, and I was sort of forcing it down my own throat, for the whole week, just trying to get
Mm.
familiar with it. But
Mm-hmm.
it was very hard, so I had to make some notes on each song just to sort of help make it stick because, yeah, it's a lot to take in.
It is. It is.
Yeah, so, but yeah, you're right about Sananga. Like, that'll be about 20 years this year, won't it? 20, I think 2003 it was released.
This is June 2003.
Yeah, so 20 years. Wow. I actually haven't listened to that for quite a while.
I still listen to it.
Uh,
My World, Purify, The Unnamed Feeling. Ooh, what a banger.
Frantic.
I prefer the other ones.
Mm.
Or All Within My Hands. Oh,
Oh yeah.
I did that one. I mean, people bashing this album, but try to play these songs.
Yeah, right. Did
I mean, All Within My Hands downpicked. Jesus, my arm hurt.
am I remembering correctly that this album came with like a DVD making of the album? I've
Yes,
got it. I've got
yes,
it
yes,
downstairs. Yeah.
because Rob wasn't part of the record by itself. So, well, it is said that they decided to do some sort of live DVD, which includes Rob.
Oh yeah. In their rehearsal room. Yeah.
In the HQ. Yeah,
Yeah. Right. I'll have to go back and watch that actually because I haven't
it's awesome.
touched. Yeah. Yeah. I liked it at
Also,
the time.
Lars is punishing these drums real bad.
Mm,
Damn.
Well, as much as people bag it, like they still talk about it. So it's not like it just got lost in history
Yeah,
and everyone's forgotten about it. They still talk about it. But I always thought the video for Sananga was really cool.
that's true.
An interesting time of Hetfield's life, I
And
guess.
people, yeah, in general, for Metallica for themselves. I mean, for Metallica,
Yeah.
it's a complete different time, and people seem to forget. Without this Metallica era, with Jason leaving and they talking in this therapy sessions, Metallica wouldn't exist today.
Yeah.
I mean, for other people, Metallica still don't exist after Cliff died, which is yeah, we don't talk about this.
Yeah.
But without this, what happened in their lives, and Metallica wouldn't exist today. As the way we know Metallica, and yes, it's people seem to forget this.
Like I said, I'm just grateful Metallica are still putting out music
Absolutely.
and playing live and to a high standard as well, and all those, the Load album, Black, Saint Anger, the therapy stuff, it's all part of their journey. And I've said it before, like I think to my girlfriend and stuff, like I actually really look forward to the day, and I hope it happens, that James Hetfield puts out an autobiography, because I find him actually really fascinating, because he's kind of a private guy, so we don't hear everything about him, and I just think there's something really fascinating about him, and I think if he ever decided to do that, it would be really, really interesting. I don't want to know everything personal about him. Like you were saying before, his relationships and stuff, like that's none of our business. And if he chooses to share that, well, fine. But the creative person in him, I think, is really fascinating.
In some way, he did. I mean, read through his lyrics. In some way, he already did.
Yeah.
I mean, like The God Had Failed. Dyer's Eve.
Yeah.
A lot of these lyrics were written around his personal experience. So in some way or another, he already put out like an autobiography.
Yeah.
Which is why so many people can relate to his lyrics.
Yeah.
But yes, I still kind of agree. It would be interesting to read.
Yeah. Track 6, Lux Eterna. The first penny to drop from the album. Like we said, dropped out of nowhere, and bang, there's a new Metallica song and a new album on the way. It's probably a good choice for the first song to drop, I think.
I also think so. I mean, it has that aha effect. So, they're still playing fast. So, Kirk's solo is good in this one, actually. I like that one. And also, it's different than what he used to do. Still Kirk.
Yeah.
Which is good, and it's awesome to play live. When the song dropped, we in our band, we talked about it as, hey, it might be a cool song to do live as well. So I think we did this song at our next show after the song was released.
Cool.
It was quick to learn, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it's not difficult. It's just fun to play.
Yeah. Obviously it's got sort of big vocals from James, you know, the way he sings Luxa Turner in the chorus there. Again, a big compliment to James's voice, you know, at his age. And he's not quite 60, or has he just hit 60? He's pretty close to it, isn't he? I think
he's close to 60.
Yeah.
Born at 63, August 63.
So he'll be 60 this year. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What a legend. And
still doing strong.
Yeah, absolutely. When this song dropped, I think a lot of people were questioning Lars's drums, whether he actually played these drums or not. You know, the sort of strong double kick sort of pattern.
Oh, well, he already proved he can do it.
Yep. Yeah.
The Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Oh yeah. I watched a couple of those. That was good. So, track 7, Crown of Barbed Wire. As I said before, probably maybe my favorite off the album at this stage, but like you said, you know, that changes daily and we're only a week into its release. So, but that sort of jumped out at me. I just found it really interesting, and yeah, James's vocals just really, really cool. Also in the chorus, the way he sings. Do you listen to Alice in Chains? Are you an Alice in Chains fan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the way he's
Yes, I told that to my girlfriend when we went to the premiere. So, hey man, this sounds like it could have been by Alice in Chains or Pearl Jam.
Yeah. Well, the way James sings Wire, listen to it next time and let me know what you think. In the chorus, the way he sort of sings Wire and sort of drags it out really sounds kind of Lane Staley-ish, just in my head, which I thought was really cool. And it's really, really strong song, I think.
It is.
Number 8.
So many different moments where you can think like I said a couple of minutes ago. This sounds like grunge, like Soundgarden, or even Soundgarden, especially Chris Cornell. The way he sings, or you name it, Alice in Chains there's a bit of grunge in it.
Yeah. Well, all those bands had different influences. You know, Black Sabbath, and some of the punk stuff, and Metallica as well, and
you really hear all the influences they had when they started out.
Yep, it's all good music. It's all just really good music. So,
absolutely.
Number 8, Chasing Light. What's this song? James sort of pushes his vocals in the chorus.
Wait, I need to
chase that light, lean on me. That one, yeah, pretty cool song actually.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Oh yeah. Oh wait. Love this riff. Yeah, that's really cool. I love that one.
Yeah. Oh, good song.
It is. The next song is If Darkness Had a Son, has probably my biggest critique to production.
Okay.
Yeah, it's because of the snare.
Snare. Through the whole song?
No, just the beginning mainly. I mean, the song is great. I really like this. I really like that.
Yeah.
Temptation. I really like this, and I'm so looking forward to it. Like I think it was James when he said this is a live song for sure.
Yeah.
And I can't wait when they play the song live and the crowd is shouting.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward to this one
Yeah.
and see the people banging straight away. But production-wise, this is probably, in my opinion, the weakest point.
Oh.
The snare drum, the snare and the hi-hat. This snare sounds like it is computer generated. It sounds so much like a sample, like a bad sample, like a drum machine from, I don't know, middle age.
Ooh, okay, I'll have to check that out after this episode because this is actually one of my favorites of the album. I think.
It's not about the song; it's about the
Yeah.
production.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah. I think.
mean, you have this trend like already on Hardwired, this high boosted bass drum, like 10K. You have the same here on this album, and the snare is different. I much prefer a more natural sounding snare, but what is more natural sounding? How do you make an aluminium snare more natural sounding? A metal snare more natural sounding? I prefer the bell press snare he used since the Black Album upwards to Garage Inc. Or even Senenga. Well, Senenga is not a snare. But up to Garage Inc. And he even used this on S&M Live, the first one. And at some point he changed to the aluminum snare, but the bell press snare has a different vibe to it, a different flair. And it fitted more for me, Metallica. But this snare, maybe it sounds better to this newer Metallica sound with this more higher mid-frequency sounding guitars. And so they tried to fill the EQ section of every instrument a different way. So you can really differentiate the bass drum and the bass. The bass is sounding real strong on this album.
Yeah.
So the Rob's bass is prominent in the mix than it was before.
Yeah.
Like on Hardwired or like on Dark Magnetic. So you can hear the snare, you can hear obviously the snare and the hi-hat really loud. You really hear the drums in general loud in the mix. Sometimes I have to feel that the guitars are not so prominent in the mix like they used to, but they have a different EQ like they had. You know, it's more this higher mid-frequency. And I wished throughout this whole album, the guitars would have been a bit more EQ'd differently, a bit more low end to it. So they push a bit more. This is what I used to hear on the Metallica sound, on the Metallica record, up to excluded Death Magnetic. But up to that point, the guitars had a bit more low end, and I missed that hearing. I missed this more 3D sound of guitar.
Is that where they started that with the Black Album, would you say?
No, Black Album was really prominent, actually. Load is really 3D sounding.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe it's also maybe it happened during mastering. I mean, we were not prominent while they were recording in the studio. Maybe it sounded in the studio different, or I don't like the word better in that case. But a lot can go wrong during mastering.
Yeah.
Wrong. Whatever wrong means. I feel the guitars could have a bit more low end to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's because of the tuning, because they are in E standard the whole time.
No.
I think it's because of EQing and mastering.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
But again, who produced this record?
Well, like you said, it will sound different live as well, you know.
Obviously.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they stack up, you know, amongst their other songs, you know, like Master of Puppets and that sort of thing. So, interesting. But yeah, I'll have to go back and listen to that snare. It's probably going to stand out to me now.
Oh, listen to it with headphones on. It's a... no. I mean, the song is great, but the first hit of the snare is like, oh God, it's computer generated.
Track 10, Too Far Gone. Again, this one's...
Yeah, I like this one.
It's a really good song, and there's this one part, I think it's in the chorus, that gives me reminders of Garage Inc. I don't know why. I think it might be that song Last Caress. You know, it's not their song, but it could be just a speed thing or a little melody thing, just a little bit there that gives, you know, it only takes a split second of a song to remind you of something else. Yeah, so it just reminded me of Garage Inc. a little bit, but and again they go for the dual harmony guitars towards the end, I think, in this song, which is really cool. Yeah, cool, really cool song, really strong song, and not a lot of fat to it, you know.
I mean, this album is better produced than Hardwired, I think.
Yeah.
And of course, way better than Death Magnetic. Death Magnetic is... wow. It's too loud, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty abrasive, isn't it? Pretty in your face. Which...
yes.
Yeah. I think James's vocals better produced on this album, and that's probably why
it's overall great. Death Magnetic is overall from the first note to the last note. It's like, it is ordered perfectly. This is my biggest critique, or my biggest weak point on Hardwired. It's the track list of the songs. It's almost like, yeah, first CD is great, second CD is B, and then Spit Out the Bone is, yes, could have been on the A side. The track listing is not as good as it is on Death Magnetic. And I think this one is, the track listing on this one is really good.
Yep. And Room of Mirrors, track 11.
Room of Mirrors.
Yeah. It's kind of got that offbeat sort of riff at the start, or for the intro and the verses. It's a little bit odd, but kind of cool.
I like this one. I like this it takes me to a different place, actually. I like that one.
Yeah.
But then this main riff comes in. It's like, oh, this is Lots of Summer. Like a different version of Lots of Summer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then to finish off the album, Metallica's longest song ever, I think they said.
Yes.
And one of your favourites off the album.
Inamorata.
Inamorata. Yeah.
I did the cover, and the way the notes ring and sound is so... the song is tuned low. And I took out the baritone, which is in C sharp standard, which I mentioned before. And oh yeah, that works. Oh yeah, this is so Sabbath. This is so Masters of Reality. Or Volume 4. I think Volume 4s are also a lot of it in this tuning. And C sharp standard. And, oh yeah, this feels like C sharp standard. And I did it the notes were right. And then someone talked to me and said, "Hey, I think the song is in E standard." What?
Mm.
And then I checked it out, and yeah, I think my original thought is wrong. I mean, it works in C sharp standard, but it also works in E standard. And so I recorded both tunings, and E standard sounded more right than it. So it might be really E standard, but C sharp standard works as well.
Okay.
Because you can add when you start the song, it's just, when you add the low C sharp to it and add the bass to it, you have this huge mass of sound. And this is so Sabbath. But again, E standard seems to work better, or maybe E standard is the tuning they choose to record this album, the song. Sorry, not this album, the song, which seems to be obvious because all other songs are also in E standard. So
yeah. So
maybe I was wrong.
Yeah. Well, if it works, it works. But is most of the album in standard E? Most of the album is yeah.
They Death Magnetic is an E, except for All Night Long, which is in drop D.
Yeah.
Hardwired is an E, except for Dream No More, which is D.
Yeah.
And they played, I think, in C sharp live, like the thing it should not be. And I think, and if Inamorata is really recorded in E, then the whole album is recorded in E standard, which might be true.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's a great song. It doesn't feel like 11 minutes. I was sitting in the cinema reading this premiere and when it was over, I was like, "What? This felt like 3 minutes."
Yeah,
it's crazy, but it's an awesome song, and I really love this bass space when Rob played his part. The only critique I have on this song is last hi-hat. It's too prominent when Rob is playing his bass part. Other than that, it's a great song. Also, the double harmony, it's just so good. So good.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel that long. I remember that on the night of the premiere, by this stage of the night, I really had to pee, but I didn't want to walk out. And when they said this was their longest song ever, that's the last thing I wanted to hear because my bladder was ready to go. But yeah, lucky for me, it didn't feel that long, and I made it to the toilet after the show. But yeah, quite an epic song. One song that, because Outlaw Torn is quite a long song, I think it just falls under 10 minutes. Initially, I wasn't really into that song.
Well, the original published version is almost 10 minutes.
Yeah.
There's a different version with which is a bit longer.
Well, it was when I saw them play that live. I can't remember where it was. That's when I actually fell in love with the song, and now it's up there with one of my favorite Metallica songs. I think it
is.
It's such a good song.
It is.
Didn't they do it on S&M 2? I think. Let me check. I'm pretty sure
they did it on S&M 1, definitely. Probably on S&M 2 as well.
Oh yeah. Let's have a look.
There wasn't such a big difference between S&M 1 and S&M 2, beside the songs added from Hardwired.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they did it on 1. Did they do it on 2?
I think so. Like No Leaf Clover in different version of No Leaf Clover. They didn't play Battery, I think, on SNM2.
Yeah, Outlaw Torn, yeah. So they did it on both.
Which is banger on their first edition of SNM1.
And yeah, you're right, no Battery on 2. Oh, they did Unforgiven 3 on 2, which is cool. I always liked that song.
James was just singing on this one.
I think I'll have to go back and watch 2 again because I got pretty familiar with 1, but 2 I didn't give much of a go.
Really?
So, yeah, I don't know.
You mean SNM2 or Unforgiven 2?
SNM2.
Okay.
Yeah. Unforgiven 2 was, I think I had the CD single for that. I really loved that song. And it had a couple of bonus live tracks on it from memory. Helpless.
It's also not easy to play.
Okay, I haven't tried. Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah. Well, I'll check out your profile and learn from yours. Yeah. Well, I guess we better aim to wrap this one up. We're almost at 2 hours, I think. Yep, almost at 2 hours.
Okay.
Just a general, have you sort of got a favourite Metallica album, that has a more special place in your heart than maybe others for whatever reason, or just simply for the guitar work in general? Yeah, would you have a favourite?
I mean, this also changes, but
yeah,
the Metallica record that is always high on my list is the Black Album, because it opened the door for Metallica for me. For, I guess, the majority of people today, it's probably the Black Album. This showed me the world of Metallica, and then I went back of their catalog with Justice for All Puppets, Lightning Kill 'Em All, and I love these as well. But without the Black Album, I wouldn't know these records. So, or maybe I would, but because of the Black Album, I discovered Metallica. And because of that album, I am the fan I am today. So it is and always will be the Black Album, for sure.
Yeah.
And then it changes. Sometimes it is Puppets, then it is Load. But it's more up to Load than it is after Load. I mean, yes, I love Death Magnetic. I have my problems with the production, but overall, it's an awesome album. There's a lot of riffs, a lot of songs that are not so easy to play. And it's like a lot of like on Puppets and Justice for All. It's not about the riffs by itself. Sometimes yes, but mostly it is the endurance of your picking hand. Like That Was Just a Life. Play the song slower, like Puppets and Battery. You get along, but it's the speed. So you have to have a good endurance of your right hand, of your picking hand, I should say. Not everyone is right-handed. Endurance is a key factor in during a lot of these songs. Which is also, what is the most difficult Metallica riff? Most of the time, it's not even the fast one. Because what makes it so difficult is speed, so the endurance. Sometimes a song that is more mid-tempo is actually technically more difficult to play than a faster one. Also, you have to have a certain kind of flow and feel and groove to play these songs. Devil's Dance, for example, you have to have this flow. There's this completely different flow than something more staccato. Like, not bashing the song, but just for example, like the breakdown part in Domination Pantera. Dun, 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 dun. This is really tight. And a riff like Devil's Dance, dun, 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 it's completely different.
Yeah.
It's more Sabbath feel, and this is a lot about groove. Different groove. So, yeah, come back to your question. Sorry, talking too much. It's, yes, it's, I think always and always will be the Black Album because it opened the door for me for Metallica.
Yeah. I probably can't even answer my own question, but I think kind of what you said, and it could be, you know, a generational thing. You know, that's just where we came into Metallica and what opened that door to them, whereas people growing up in the 80s, I mean, I was born in 83, but, you know, I wasn't aware of music until I was at least 10 or 11, so, you know, it was just whatever my parents were playing, so I didn't know Metallica at that time, even though they were releasing albums, obviously, but, you know, if you were a teenager in the 80s and that sort of thing, that's where you would have been introduced to Metallica and all these sort of bands as they were doing that thrash thing. So yeah, I think you're right. You know, yeah, Load and Black opened up the door to me to go backwards to those albums, and you're probably right. Without Load and Black, may not have discovered the older albums. I don't know, but very significant in our discovery of them, being the age that we are. So yeah, and yeah, I think everything up until Reload, Garage Inc., if you want to chuck that in there as well. But and now I'm just glad that they're still releasing music. But
yes, I mean they could play shows over and over again. They could make a tour after tour, like yes, this is our last tour, and 2 years later they're still in, like other famous bands. But yes, I'm really happy that they put out another record. I was talking to my friend Namit on Instagram, and he's like, "Do you think there will be another album?" I was completely wrong. I thought there will be another Metallica album, even though they said it won't take 8 years, 7 years in, or 6 years in the Metallica album. I really thought it was, because of Corona, James moved away to Colorado. The other boys are more on the Bay Area, beside Kirk, who's also in Hawaii. With what happened in James's personal life, what's next? So I'm really happy that they put out another album, that they're doing this tour, that they still have the drive to do music.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's good music for this person or bad music for this person. I don't care for this one. It just shows. I don't think. I mean, Jason said it. We could have stopped making music money-wise after the day the Black Album came out, and it's true.
Yep.
So it shows that they are really, and I think this is really my opinion. I think they do it really because they want to create music.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy, even though I have my problems production-wise. Who cares? It's new music, and we should cherish instead of bash it in some way or another. And
to still play all their songs to the standard that they're playing them live.
Exactly.
It's not easy to play that shit. You know, it takes me ages to try and learn and get up to speed, and I still can't with a lot of the older stuff. You know, I'm getting there, but I'm not there, and it's just incredible stuff. You know, it's not just power chords and simple stuff. You know, they're really chugging along, and for 2.5 hours, 3 hours, you know, show is just massive. So just yeah, they've always blown my mind, and they still do. So very grateful for them, and they've been a big inspiration to me, and obviously to you, and to so many people around the world learning guitar at no matter what age we are. So grateful. Yeah, very grateful.
Absolutely. Will you see them anywhere?
Well, apparently Australia is not on the schedule yet, but Hetfield said we will be eventually, so it might be a couple of years. So we'll keep an eye out. But we saw Megadeth and In Flames last month, which was really cool. That was my first time seeing Megadeth. Dave Mustaine in the flesh. So I was never as a bigger fan of Megadeth as I am of
also
Metallica.
Not easy to play.
Yeah.
Also not easy to play.
Yep. And
Dave Mustaine is an awesome riff writer.
Yeah, they were awesome. They were really good. Sick drummer, sick lead guitarist, and of course Dave. And so they were really good to see. I was glad I went. So quite a thing seeing Dave in the flesh. Just goes way back to those early Metallica days, and it's just a massive heavy metal story. It's awesome. So so well, maybe we should wrap it up. What do you think?
Okay. We could go on if you want to.
We could.
It depends on you.
Yeah.
But I think, for me, it's now 1 p.m. So I think you're almost at 9 p.m. maybe.
Yeah, 9:15, so just after.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the album there. 72 Seasons. I highly recommend checking it out, as I'm sure you do as well, Jörg. Probably needs a little bit more time to digest, So
absolutely,
it's a massive album. I think
it is.
What's the running time? Like 77 minutes, I think Lars said, or maybe even more than that, actually.
I think it was 77, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So, it's a big album, as you would expect from Metallica. So give it time, enjoy it, listen to it however you prefer to listen to music, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. So thank you very much, Jörg, for coming on the show. It was a pleasure to have you on.
It's absolutely my pleasure. Thank you very much.
And highly recommend checking out Jörg's Instagram channel, folks, and his YouTube. Plenty of, Metallica, Rammstein, heaps of other bands that you chuck up there. Riffs are there. So I really enjoy your videos, and
thank you very much.
I'll be checking out a few of them when I get a chance to dive into some, riffs off this new album. So I'll go and check yours out and see how you play them.
All right. Thank you very much.
So yeah, thanks for coming on. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and thank you, Metallica. Another awesome album, and we'll catch you again soon for another episode of Fox on the Wire. Take care, everybody. Thank you.